Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host Israel, and my guest today is someone I've been dying to talk to, writer, super fun person, my friend Shymilfkitty. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun. I already know it.
Yeah. So, okay, first off, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. So I want to start with that. Whenever I see someone like yourself that has that many followers, I wonder how do you navigate it? Because you must get messages like all the time.
Uh, I do get it comes in like flurries. It's really strange. I'll get like a massive messages and I look through them, and if I can tell that someone like took the time to write something besides "I want to suck your titties," then I try to reply to as many as I can, but it gets overwhelming. But when I post a picture, I definitely go back and make comments and thank people because they took the time to make a comment. I think that it's only polite of me to take the time to thank them. So,
Okay. And then another thing I find with someone with such like there was a time when the follower number was zero, right? Like, how did you manage to amass so many people on your page?
well, it was kind of crazy because I had joined SLS, which is a swinger group. And I had just a friend of mine do some pictures, and I couldn't. It like really turned me on doing the pictures. It was strange. I'd never done that before. So when I had a friend from SLS recommend FET to me, and I went over to FET, I just moved those pictures to FET, and I was so scared of everything on FET. I would post something once or a while, but I didn't know about the notifications thing. I didn't know that you could go in and people were like commenting on the photo. That's how stupid I was at first. So somebody's like, "Did you see my comment on your photo?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then they're like, all the comments. So then I started talking with the people. But for the longest time, I didn't even like thank anybody for a comment on my photo because I didn't know you could. And I didn't know that I never went back and looked at the photos either
Mm.
because after I posted them, I was still shy about it back
Oh.
then because I wasn't like all out there like I am now, 2,400 pictures later.
Mm.
How quickly they go up. But I don't know how it happened though. I just started posting, and then I got kind of addicted to the art of the photography of it. Like I loved the fact that I could use makeup and change the way I completely looked.
Mm.
Change my hair, change my makeup and outfit. And, one day I could look like Cinderella, and the next day I could look like, Cruella de Vil. And so I would get into this zone where I would like create the next photo op that I was going to do. One set I would do. Then I ordered all these backdrops and lighting, and
Wow.
because that's what I have bipolar disorder. And
Yeah.
what people with bipolar disorder do is they go manic. And when they get into a project, they can't just do it a little bit. They've got to go full in. So I became a full on selfie photographer in my own home for
Wow.
FET. So I would have all these big photo shoots just to post it on FET. It was my excitement. And I think that was what started it, is I would do all these like different photos, and they were always, some of them were pretty dramatic, and I was like really getting into it with shadows and, black
Wow.
and white, and So I was, all over the board with that. That was what I loved about it was the creating of somebody erotically different.
Different in what way?
Well, if you look at my pictures, I mean, some of them I look like Sweet Polly Purebred, and some of them I look like the vixen that, somebody wants to whip them.
When you like, what would be your process for taking the photos?
Well, I kind of had like, I have a little bit of middle tendencies when it comes to things like this. I'm very much a girly girl. I love everything: makeup, jewelry, lipstick, hair, everything. And I would start playing all my favorite music, and I would sit at my makeup chair, and I'd be naked, and I would be doing my makeup, and I would create this look, and then I would go over, and I had this huge wardrobe of all this lingerie. I'd put the lingerie on and then step into whatever lighting I had decided. I mean, it was like my fantasy world.
Yeah,
really. Yeah. People would be like, I want to photograph you. I'm like, no, sorry. I love doing it too much. But I'm kind of not at a manic right now. And so I don't have as much of my creative spark as I usually do. So I actually had somebody that's actually a photographer that does actual photography and has a lot of models that on his page that are actually beautifully done. It's probably one of the first ones I've ever looked at that asked me to take my picture that I'm like, you know what? Let's see what somebody else can do with this body. So I'm actually going to go and have somebody professionally do a model shoot in the next couple weeks for FET. So that'll be fun. That'll be exciting.
And you take all these photos, and I'm curious. I always find like what decides which ones go up, right? Because you take a bunch of them, and then you have to narrow it down to this is the one I'd love to share. How do you decide on those photos?
Oh, right. It used to be, I mean, I would take so many, and then I would sit there flipping through them all, and I would love like half of them, but I couldn't post like half of them. So then you got to really go down to okay, which ones really inspire something in me that I think will inspire someone else, or provoke. So that's kind of how I used to pick the ones when I'd have like 100. But I would also post, sometimes I would post like 15 in a row.
Okay. Well, so in a way, the photo shoots are responsible for these follower counts, and the number keeps going up and up and up and up. Did you sometimes some people segue their followers into like creating content for pay? Did you ever decide to do that?
Yeah. Well, during one of my manics, I talked a friend into helping me do an OnlyFans page because, once I got that into my head that I had all these FetLife fans, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this. I saw all these advertisements and all these women were making all this money, all this easy money. I went full-fledged. I got all the stuff. I made my own panties. I had little trinket boxes for the panties. And I mean,
okay, that's really detailed.
The interesting part, though, was my partner was a male, and he was on Reddit. So he started a Shymilfkitty on Reddit, and he started getting all of the people for my page through Reddit portraying me.
Right.
So all of these guys that thought they were talking to Shymilfkitty were actually talking to my stunt double. And he would come back with replies, and I would go back after he replied to some of them. I'd be like, "That's not what Shy Kitty would reply," and I'd change it. But the hard part was all the videos. Oh my God. I mean, that's where the money is making all those videos. They want private videos.
What were some of the videos you would have to make?
Well, one guy wanted to send me a really, really big dildo and have me suction it up on a coffee table and suck it up and down and record backwards. Yeah.
That was so specific. That was so specific. Like, would they be that specific, or would you ever get like generic requests?
No. They were usually specific on what they wanted you to wear, what they wanted you to do, what they wanted you to say. Yeah. It was
how was it for you though?
It was exciting to know I was going to be able to do something that only took maybe 5 minutes and make $50 to $75. But I didn't feel comfortable actually making it. I felt cheap. And that, for some reason, I started to dread the videos. And so I slowly started to not want to do the OnlyFans because I just, it wasn't me.
So it's like this thing you enjoy doing just for the pleasure
of
it became like a job.
Well, it was another one of my manic things though, too. You know, it was another one of those, okay, this is cool, this is great, I can do this, I can be this MILF, I can be, all this sexiness and feel good about myself. And but it didn't make me feel good about myself. It made me feel less about myself. I don't feel less about myself on fat.
That's what I was just about to ask. Yeah, like what apart from two different platforms, two different approaches, but under it, what was the thing that made both different, and especially with how you felt about yourself?
It honestly had to have been the sexual money. I'm not a sexual money kind of girl.
Okay, so let's rewind it. Kink wise, like what's like your kink journey been?
Well, so I don't know if people look at their kink journey as when they found Beth or when they did their first kinky thing in life, because I grew up with sex everywhere. When I was a teenager, I was extremely sexual and promiscuous. When I was 17, I started looking at women and attracted to women, and I got into the gay world where I blended right in and became that kink world. So from between the time I was 17 until I was 23, I was going to Chicago, going to Milwaukee, going to the huge gay clubs, going to gay pride. I was with girls, I was with guys, I was with whoever I wanted to be with. And then I met a man that looked promising to be a good husband and father, and I walked away from it all and became a goody two-shoes, stay-at-home mother, and never looked back at any of that. And it wasn't until, don't get me wrong, I was still highly sexual. That you can't take out of me. Yeah. It's just in me. And I definitely raised my kids not to be shy about sex, even though my daughter is. But I was very open about my sexuality. But it wasn't until I got divorced 5 years ago, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll try to find some people to have threesomes with or something. So I found this SLS, and I signed up for SLS, and all of these couples were trying to get me to be their unicorn, and it wasn't appealing to me.
Oh.
Then I would like try to hook up with like guys on the site because you're supposed to want sex so much on this site. You know, it's all about the quick hookup. Well, I would hook up and then I would feel devastated about the not seeing them ever again. I can't
Oh.
do that.
Right, right, right.
I can't do the one night stand. I can't do that kind of lifestyle. So
Mm.
a friend recommended FET to me because she thought that it would fit me better. And then that was when I found FET. So my kink journey's been my whole life, but this part of it has been the last 5 years.
And how's that been like fit so far for you? Apart from the, attention you get with the photos and stuff.
Well, it has been up and down and up and down.
In what
You
way?
know, but I don't want to make it a downer, but we talked about this. My very first date, which was I joined FET like in this like June during COVID, so 2020. And in October, I was going on my first FET date with a Soviet Dom who lived a couple hours away. He invited me to his house to have dinner, and I told him that I had a small dog that couldn't stay very long at home, and he had me bring my dog. So I walked up on the porch with my dog, and he opened the door, and he greeted me, and he went to say hello to my dog, and his dog came from underneath his legs and knocked us to the ground.
Yeah.
And had a hold of my dog's neck. And the man was kicking at the dog, and I was trying to get the pit bull's neck off my dog's neck. And when that happened, his eyeballs popped out in my hands. And, the dog didn't make it. And the guy ended up saying some pretty weird things during the whole situation that made me believe that I was probably better off that I didn't walk into that house.
Mm.
If that says anything.
Mm. Mm.
So sometimes bad things happen, but sometimes good things can happen too.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
But
walked the boat.
so
Yeah.
then I met some friends and have been doing munches and going out a little bit more, which I was petrified to do for the longest time because I'm so shy. And I just had a big camping weekend at NCN Camp, which is an adult playground. That was interesting.
What made it interesting?
Well, it's you don't have to wear clothes.
Oh, oh, oh.
So it's very natural.
Right.
That's what I like to call it. It's very natural, very nature. Everybody's just all, kumbaya.
You spent the entire weekend there, or just
Yeah, the whole weekend.
oh well.
Yeah.
And how long did it take for you to prepare for the weekend, and how was the weekend itself for you?
Well, all week I was getting ready for it with, buying all the food and stuff. But um, I've only been there one other time. And I went last year, and it was a one of the couples. There's cabins along a beach with a lake, and there was a couple that had a netting tent with a massage table right next to the lake. And I was having my coffee, and I was watching at like 7 in the morning, him give this woman a massage and them have sex. And I'm like, next time I come, I'm bringing my massage table. I want that. So I made sure that I packed that massage table.
Okay.
And I had one of those nets, and I put it right next to the lake. And guess what?
What?
A huge storm came and blew it all away.
Oh, no, 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 no. No.
Like the three little piggies.
Sorry.
I was naked, and I was running out of the cabin to the like pouring 60-mile-per-hour winds, trying to save the tent.
Sorry. Did you manage to save the tent at least?
Well, you know, it didn't like completely fly away. It just was in like pieces all over the ground. It wasn't together anymore. So
okay.
Okay. And yeah.
What else were some of the things you enjoyed about the weekend, apart from the tent blowing away, of course, but
well, there's this big area called Park Central, and it's this huge like warehouse where they have a big bar. Then they have a stage with like a pole, so if you want to pole dance, you can pole dance. Then they have a DJ and a dance floor. Then they have the cross and like a paddling bench and things and implements like that. Then they have these partitioned rooms with drapes. And each room has something different. One room has a sex swing. One room has like a bed. One room has like this crazy sex chair. And then one has like a paddling bench. And you can go into these rooms and you can leave them open, which means you want to be watched. Or you can leave them closed, which means that you don't want to be watched. So the way it goes is everybody's over by the bar, right? When we get to Park Central, and we're there, we get drinks, and everybody's kind of mingling around until the first couple walks back to that back room. All of a sudden, everybody in the whole place stands up and walks back, and everybody is like standing there like they're watching a baseball game. It's like, oh, I better swing. I could hardly watch. I was like embarrassed watching.
What? Why?
I don't know. It's just, I was like, I don't know. And then my friend like, Michelle, watch. And I'm like, I can't. And he takes my hand and he pushes me to watch. And all of a sudden, this woman that's getting pounded looks over and smiles at me. I don't know. When I'm getting pounded, I just can't think to look over and smile at somebody. In fact, I don't want to look over and smile at somebody.
No.
Oh, no. No. I am not into being watched.
No. Okay.
I was for the longest time.
Wait.
I was for the longest time.
So, like, with the photos, it's not the same thing, right? Because, like, it's after the facts. Is that the difference?
Wait, explain.
Like with the photos you take, right? Like
Mhm.
you are kind of being watched, but it isn't happening at the time you are taking the photos. Is that the difference between the two for you?
For my shyness?
Well, yeah. I mean, you not liking being watched versus
Oh,
you
being able to
liking
post the pictures.
exactly.
In real life, I'm the one that's kind of hiding over in the corner, watching, afraid.
Right.
Somebody really has to push me outside of my comfort zone
Mm. What
to
makes you comfortably enough to get out of your comfort zone?
what makes me comfortable.
Enough to get out of your
Uh,
comfort zone.
uh well, I mean, I really have to feel comfortable with the person,
Mm,
and they're really there's only been one or two people in my whole life that I felt that comfortable with um to date,
oh wow.
because I am very shy that way. But I also was married to someone for 14 years that never bothered to ask if I even had an orgasm or cared.
Mm,
So, I for 5 years I've had this sexual freedom because I didn't have sex for 14 years.
mm, mm.
Literally 14 years of hiding in my bathroom with my toy.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine that. So I mean, what are some of the things you're experiencing with this freedom you have now?
Well, I did let some people watch.
No.
Face it, or person to person, body to body. Somebody was doing the baseball call for me.
How was that experience for you?
Oh, well, I am one of those people that have a really hard time having an orgasm without having some sort of stimulation on my clitoris. And if you're, just have sex when you're just having intercourse any possible way, you're not getting that part of it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I have a very hard time, orgasming during this intercourse unless I have this very specific toy, and it's called the clit sucker,
oh, okay.
is what I call it. And it's like this suction thing that I can literally have 10 orgasms in 3 minutes, over and over and over. So we had this little bag with us when we went to Park Central or Park whatever, and it had a lube and it had my special toy in it. So when my friend said, "Get up on that chair, I'm going to fuck you," and all of the people were around, I said, "Oh no." "Oh no, you're not." "Not today, you're not." He said, "Get up on that table," and he handed me the bag and he said, "Get your toy." I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, okay. I can do it with the toy." So once I started fucking around with him and I got that toy going, I don't know. I think I had 10 orgasms in a row. I didn't know if there was anybody even in the room. But I hear I had a pretty big crowd.
Okay. Okay. So at least you
But
know what
I
worked
did
for
not want to
you.
rush out and do it again. I'm going to tell you that. It wasn't
Right.
that I'm not that comfortable yet.
I mean, but you did it, so there's that at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
So
next night I didn't want to.
you've kind of gone through this whole journey and you're still on this path. But what are some things that in the near future for you that you love to experience or try?
Well, I've always been a woman that was with a man. I was with 2 men, 14 years each, and, that is, like, my purpose is to be with a man and take care of him, and I've been on this road for 5 years, and I looked at it like if I met the right person, I would be looking for the one, but if I don't, I don't. But the longer that I'm on this site and the longer that I'm single, the more I want to meet somebody, the more I just want to meet the right one. But I'm pretty particular and I'm pretty, you gotta have, you can't have an ego with me. You really just can't have an ego with me. I'm as loyal as the day is long, but you got to be able to take the fact that I have 26,000 followers that like to see my naked body. You know, that might be hard for some men to take. Now, if I got into a deep relationship, I might just take that account down because my life will change and go somewhere different. Because I really, I'm lonely, but I find a lot of joy out of talking to the people on FET. It takes that hole away for me that I'm missing, a companion, a partner. But I'm not aggressively out there looking. I don't make ads. I don't beg people to ask me out on a date. I just, if someone happens upon me and it's the right person, then I guess I'll know.
Yeah. Actually, if you were to paint a picture of the right person, what would they look like? Not, physically, but just what would their personality be like? You mentioned the no ego thing. What else?
Well, I really, really have to be able to laugh with the person. A lot of people don't have sense of humors. Some people are just so dry and they don't laugh or smile or so I know it sounds funny, but I really, I really have to be able to have a sense of humor and be able to have fun dialogue, but then serious dialogue. So it's like I want somebody fun, but then I also need somebody that's intelligently can have a conversation that's not about their dick. Or how big my pussy lips are.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that. Actually, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that though. Okay, so it's always great talking to you, but I know you, like, even though you're working for yourself, you still have a lot of things on the go. So I want to let you go with this question. You've had all these experiences so far, and a friend of yours reached out to you and they're like, hey, or I want to explore, I want to find this about myself. What kind of advice would you have to share with your friend on how to navigate kink?
You really have to educate yourself. So, everybody says that in the beginning and it's so overwhelming and you're so excited and you want everything right this very minute, that you'll overlook red flags. You'll do things that, normally you wouldn't do. And I think that that's a part of the experience of kink is the trial and error. So unfortunately, I want to say get as much education as you can. But really, pay attention to those flags because they really do mean something. And I have paid attention to every red flag since I've been on FET, and they always paid off. They always proved me right. I couldn't believe it. But there's a couple times where I didn't when I was first new, where I was so stupid. I'd let somebody come to my house that I didn't even know, and I got hurt a couple times.
Oh wow.
Letting strangers talk you into teaching me, or that kind of thing. So I think that just it makes you a stronger person in the kink world when you do have a few things go wrong, because then you do appreciate the fact that you gotta do vetting. You gotta do, don't meet somebody for the first time unless it's in a public place. This isn't any different than the real world. If anything, it's a little bit more dark because it's hidden. So anyways, just educate yourself as much as you can. Learn as much as you can, because everybody loves an intelligent person, especially when you know about what you say you want to do. You can't say that you're something and then not know about it, which there's a lot of them out there. There's men on the site that say they're a dom, but then they say they want a mistress under their what they're looking for. I'm like, a dom isn't normally looking for a mistress. So right away it's like, okay, that's a fake.
Yeah.
So there's some things that are just obvious if you read between the lines. If they say they're single, and you go down and there's all these, encounters that are hidden, or married men wanting whatever, you can tell that they're lying that they're married if you look at like some of the groups they're in sometimes. There's some ways you can look without even having to question them and delete them. So,
wow, Michelle, it's always awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing so much about yourself, and I actually think I'll have you back, and because your number keeps going up. Maybe by the time you're back, we're like at 30,000 or more. But it's fun talking
what are
to
we
you.
at? What are we at? I wasn't even thinking about that.
Thanks so much for coming to the sanctuary today.
Thank you. I'll see you again.